It was an absorbing end to the transfer window with Alexandra Isak getting his dream move to Liverpool Football Club. With that, I welcome you to another beautiful edition of Sports Pizza. My name is Edwin Onyebole. It's excited to grace your screens once again. We have a lot in store for you, not just from the transfer window, but of course from games across the weekend in Europe, and of course the NPFL match day 2. There was action in Netherlands, the Dutch Grand Prix, and don't forget we are into the international window, so club football takes a backseat. We have a loaded show, and I do this always in company of my homeboy Bankole Oladuni. I'll be bringing him on board, but before that, remember at the end of the show we give you the very best from the Tipsters Corner odds going down from games this weekend, and of course this weekend our focus is on the international game. Let's go on a short break. When we return, we dive straight into action. Welcome back, Bankole. It's good to have you once again on set. How you doing?
Edwin, it's always good to be here, especially after the end of the transfer window. We just saw Alexander Isak getting that move to Liverpool, a record deal. Yet again, for Liverpool twice in the transfer window. So yeah, it's always interesting to see money being spent in the English Premier League. In comparison to the Italian Serie A, where they always pinching penny.
Bankole, can you sum up the transfer window in one word?
In one word?
Yeah.
Overvalued.
Oh.
Overvalued.
I think is this across board?
Across board. Not just the Premier League. Although the Premier League, because of their financial power, have always tend to spend more than usual than the other leagues. But I think generally a lot of teams have spent money, too much money on players that are not worth a certain amount. In the Spanish La Liga, you saw Raspadori move for what? Almost 30 million, and this is not a guy that I think should be moving for less than 20. This is a guy that should probably be going for like 15, 20. You look at the Italian Serie A. Lorenzo Luca also moved to Napoli for about 40 million. This is a young striker who probably has like 10 goals in his catalog for like 2 seasons. So I don't think it's just down to the English Premier League. Yes, a lot of focus will be on the English Premier League. A lot of noise have been around the English Premier League. The English Premier League teams have a lot of money to spend. So hence why you would see them spending the most money. But I think players these days have been overvalued. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm not blaming the selling club would attach whatever value they want to their players, up to the buying clubs, to go on and spend that money. But I just think with the amount of talent that we are seeing, the money being spent on these talents is not necessarily worth it.
We saw a lot of protracted transfer moves this summer. Players going on strike, clubs also banishing players. The case of Nicholas Jackson, he was told by the coach and by extension by the club that, hey, you can move, we don't want you, there's no place for you. Then suddenly the lad gets injured. Then Nicholas Jackson on his way to Munich. In fact, he was already in Munich, and he got a call from the club that, hey, this deal is not going through, we want you to come back. Then you have Wissa going on strike, you have Isak going on strike. It just feels like there's no value or there's no regard for contracts. And this is where I think FIFA has to come in. FIFA so far have been invested in making money. FIFA has become a money-making machine rather than the regulators they need to be.
Yeah, for all of these transfers, I think the Nicholas Jackson one has been a bit overblown. I don't think it is as bad as a lot of people are making it out to be. Chelsea is still a Chelsea player until he signs for Bayern Munich. Chelsea suffered an injury, an unexpected injury that is out of their control, and they decided, you know what, we still need a body. So yes, it might not, how will I say, it might not be as ideal as a lot of transfers, but I still think Chelsea still have every right, to call back their player. As long as he has not put pen to paper with Bayern Munich, come back to Chelsea. And it's not like Nicholas Jackson was, the best of strikers at Chelsea. He has let down that team several times before. I don't think I feel, any type of way towards Chelsea at that particular one. But the likes of Atalanta, the likes of Isak, these are two respective club and players who have shown ill fit towards their respective parties. Victor Gyökeres and Sporting Lisbon. It is easy to forget that Sporting Lisbon reneged on their award to Gyökeres. It was said that the transfer fee or the transfer value that will be attached to him will be less than what he eventually went for. So it was. You look at all of this RB Leipzig and Xavi Simons also. He felt a bit much more. There was a lot of drama, attached to transfers. I don't know if it was down to what you said, lack of regard for contracts, or probably just clubs and players not having any emotional attachment to each other anymore. I don't think clubs are seeing players as human beings. They are seeing them as objects, as commodities, and players are seeing clubs as a means to an end. So that emotional attachment is no longer there. As you combine that with the fact that social media and fans also do not have that regard for players anymore. A little mistake and you have fans trolling you. I don't think all of these factors have combined to make it feel like there is no human feel to the game anymore. I think this is, like you said, this is what not just FIFA but FIFPro also have to step in. FIFPro is the body that should have the back of players. And I don't think they've done anything significantly since they've come together as an organization. So I think going forward, it is something both clubs and players should come together and try to do better.
All right, away from transfer conversation, let's delve straight into some of the biggest games over the weekend. Bakule, where do we start? Let's start with, of course, the Premier League. I don't know if the Liverpool-Arsenal game should headline this conversation, or the Brighton-Manchester City game, or even Manchester United-Burnley, because I thought both games, the games involving the Manchester club, had more entertainment, more rewatch value than what we saw at Anfield.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the game at Anfield offered nothing. It was a game where the two managers were cautious. I think both teams, surprisingly for Liverpool, they were quite defensive. They put up a very strong defensive structure, ceded possession to Arsenal in the first half, and in the second half, when they also got on the ball, they didn't exactly spark the game to life. And Arsenal, the moment I saw the lineup of Merino, Zubimendi, and Rice, it was quite clear that this was not going to be exciting. It was quite clear that it was going to be a slow and less dramatic than what we saw, from the previous games between Liverpool and Manchester City, two teams who are going head-to-head for the title. But Brighton and Manchester City, we saw goals, we saw comeback victory for Brighton, we saw an upset. Same thing for Man United against Burnley. We saw goals, in both halves. City, we saw a penalty at the death. Burnley coming back from behind twice, in that game. So I think if you're looking for entertainment, if you're looking for full value, for money, I think the game between the Manchester teams, against Burnley and Brighton respectively, were quite better than the game against Arsenal and Liverpool.
Arsenal and Arteta in particular came under some very serious criticisms, and you look at Liverpool, the amount of goals they've conceded. They lost to Crystal Palace in the Community Shield, conceded twice against Bournemouth, also conceded twice against Newcastle. In both Premier League games, they were ahead by 2 goals. Do you think Arteta could have been proactive in his approach, seeing that Liverpool so far been vulnerable? Is that a criticism that's valid? Because that's the main talking point from that particular game.
I don't think I had a problem with his game plan. I think if the game had gone into both teams attacking, I think Liverpool would have won. I don't think Arsenal can boast, the attacking quality that Liverpool.
But they have the best defense, and this is a Liverpool team who, again, like I said, have conceded goals, have shown vulnerability.
It is also a Liverpool team that have shown that they can score. They can score several goals if given the chance.
And Arsenal can defend.
If you are going full throttle against a Liverpool team, you would leave space at the back. And you don't want to leave space at the back against Hugo Ekitike, Cody Gakpo, and Mo Salah. These are guys who have shown to have scored enough goals this season. They scored at least 3 goals in their first 2 matches of the season. So I think as much as we want to criticize Arteta, I still think his game plan was not the worst. It's still match day 3, going to Anfield to pick up a point. Is not the worst thing in the world. So I don't have a problem, with what he did. And at the end of the day, they only lost to a moment of individual brilliance, from Szoboszlai free kick. So I still think, we might want to talk about, he should have gone for it. Liverpool have shown vulnerability at the back. But I still think if you look at that Liverpool team, and from exactly what we saw with the free kick goal, this is a team that have enough quality to hurt you, no matter how good your defense is. So when you go forward, when you try to bombard them with attack, you leave space at the back and they'll take advantage of it. And we've seen it several times this season. And I think the fact that Arteta has shown, I don't have a problem with him showing this obsession of control against the big teams. It's now when you are now playing against the smaller teams that you're now replicating this exact same game plan that would have a problem. But against the likes of Liverpool, against the likes of Chelsea, yeah, you can do that. You can emphasize or prioritize, defense, before attack. Get the 1 point and sometimes maybe sneak a victory against some of these big teams. But ensure that you go out there and you defeat the small teams. You dominate, yes, the small teams emphatically, but not against Liverpool, at Anfield especially.
Wrapping up our Premier League conversation, Bankole, both Manchester clubs with different emotions going into the international break. For Manchester United, it was a much-needed win. It came via a 97th minute penalty. Bruno Fernandes atoning for that miss against Fulham. Currently, they have 4 points, 1 win, 1 draw, 1 loss on board. Ironically also, they are ahead of Manchester City, who serious question must be asked of Pep Guardiola. 2 losses in 3 games. This is the first time this happened in his career at the start of the season. The same issues they had last season, Bankole, has resurfaced, and the question is, why hasn't Pep Guardiola addressed this?
So I think it's quite simple. I think, and like I've always said it, the quality of coaching in the Premier League has increased tremendously. Okay. And with that increment in quality, it is quite clear that a lot of managers are quite good at problem solving. And the possession style football that Pep Guardiola has used to dominate, English football in the last 7 years, it is quite clear that a lot of managers have adapted a style to nullify
counter that.
Yes, before we used to see a lot of pressing from teams that are not quite organized, that are all over the place. But now teams understand that if you press them man to man, if you have your appropriate pressing triggers, give them the ball, let them have the ball. But when it comes to controlling the space, you still have your chance in winning the game. And that's what a lot of teams are doing. Iraola has done it against City. Thomas Frank has done it against City. Now we've seen Fabian Altala doing it. We've seen it several times.
And he's unbeaten against Pep.
We've seen it several times, especially now that you don't have a final ball killer in Kevin De Bruyne. You can have all of the possession in this world, but if you don't have that one player who can make it count, you have a lot of ball carriers, and yet you're still hugging the ball, you're still making sideways passes. So I think at the end of the day, it's not just down to the quality of players we're seeing at City. Yes, you can talk about how bad they are defensively, but I also think the main bulk of this falls to the table of the manager. He has been he's responsible for the mess we're seeing right now. If he can only, evolve a little bit, and it is going to be quite difficult for Pep Guardiola, a manager who has attained tremendous success from a particular playing style. So I think it's just down to the fact that a lot of teams have caught up, with that style. A lot of teams have identified how to nullify that threat. So it's going to be quite difficult going forward for Manchester. For United, good one for them. You can say it's just Burnley, but it was also just Grimsby. But we've said this several times. Maybe this is a point that kickstarts, their season going forward.
While Manchester City dropped 3 points, Pep Guardiola's former side, Bankole, FC Barcelona dropped 2 points. Real Madrid currently top the La Liga standing. 3 wins from 3. Xabi Alonso seem to have taking the league like duck to water. Not so much for Hansi Flick, whose defense remains a big problem for them. Rayo Vallecano should have gotten all 3 points in that particular game.
Yeah, absolutely, and we could have said the same thing for Levante also, and it's just down to the quality of these guys. If you consistently concede chances, against smaller teams like Levante, against smaller teams like Rayo Vallecano, you have to now, look at how you fare against the bigger teams with quality, the Real Madrids. You'll be taking on Chelsea and PSG in the Champions League. With this eye-line and with this personnel in this eye-line, do you think you can go toe-to-toe with these guys? I don't think so. I think they were quite lucky with the penalty call also, given the fact that VAR was having an off day. You look at all of this, and I think something has to be done. I'm not saying drop the eye-line. I'm just saying you can make tweaks, to see a different version of this. I was not expecting to still see the same eye-line from what we saw last season. It was quite clear that a lot of teams will figure it out. And the only reason why they've not suffered consecutive defeats is because of the quality of both Levante, newly promoted team, and Rayo Vallecano. It was quite clear that these teams know how to take advantage of that eye-line. Even though with VAR, you could quite see how it was subdued. They were quite cautious with it. But it was still quite clear that Rayo Vallecano, from runs from deep, with a decoy runner, you would tear this defense apart. And I don't. Maybe the international break will give Anti Flick a chance, to look at how we can improve on these tactics. And going forward, also, Rafinha has not hit the ground running this season.
Yeah.
Marcus Rashford also maybe is struggling to adapt. Lamine Yamal has been the only bright light.
Yeah.
And even against Rayo Vallecano, it was quite quiet in that game. So it feels like there are still moving parts in this Barcelona team that are yet to come together. And for Real Madrid, yes, Xabi Alonso is not perfect yet, but I think he has done the most important thing. A defensive structure. When you have a defensive foundation, the rest can come into place. And good one for Xabi Alonso and Real Madrid.
Let's go on a short break. When we return, there's more on the other side. Remember, the Super Eagles of Nigeria will be in action against Rwanda and South Africa at the Godswill Akpabio Stadium and in Bloemfontein. Welcome back from that short break. Remember, you can follow us on our social media platforms. The handles are showing on your screen. And we'll head straight to our international football segment. And this time, the Super Eagles of Nigeria, Bankole, will be in action this weekend against the Amavubis of Rwanda. And 3 days later, they take on South Africa. Are you optimistic or pessimistic?
Honestly, I don't know how to feel.
Okay.
The Super Eagles have shown that whenever you're optimistic, they'll draw you back to being pessimistic, and whenever you are pessimistic, they will make you optimistic. So I think I don't exactly know how to feel. But against Lesotho, I think we goofed by not winning Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
I think that was where we made a big mistake. If we had defeated Zimbabwe and the whole controversial 3 points still surrounding South Africa, we would be in a position, to take full advantage. To take full advantage against South Africa. But now I still think our destiny is not fully in our hands. But we can, help ourselves, by defeating Lesotho and also going to South Africa to beat South Africa. In terms of player quality, I still think we are slightly better, than South Africa. Yes, they've been together for a very long time. Mamelodi Sundowns and Orlando Pirates and Kaizer Chiefs players make the core, of that South African team. And you can talk about their lack of talent, but they've also shown that they really know how to play this football. So I think if we can, at least make 6 points, in these 2 games, we would start looking at our chances at qualifying for the World Cup a bit better. But yeah, we have to beat these 2. We have to win these 2 games. 6 points is non-negotiable, for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Yeah,
definitely not negotiable. We failed to pick 6 points. I think our World Cup hope is just it's over, regardless of what happens with FIFA's decision with the whole South Africa situation. Away from Super Eagles, we had games in the NPFL. Let's run through the table as it stands. Bayelsa United are currently top of the standing. 2 wins from 2. You have Warri Wolves in second. Also, 2 wins from 2 with 6 points. El Kanemi and Wiki Tourist complete the top 4. The newly promoted sides are pulling their weights. It's still early days, I must say, but it's a good sign that if you want to remain in the league, especially for a team newly promoted, you need to pick the points very early in the season. And the bottom 4, you have Benel Insurance, Rangers International, Barrow, and Plateau United. Let's head straight to our start bench drop. This time it is a transfer theme segment. Who had the best transfer summer window? Start bench drop, Bayern Munich, Chelsea, or Real Madrid?
So for me, I think down to the fact that Chelsea had Delap and João Pedro in for the Club World Cup, and you look at the start that Estevao has also made. You look at those 3 players and how they've significantly improved, Chelsea going forward. I will go with Chelsea. Starting. I mean, some of their signings already won them a Club World Cup, so it's difficult to argue against that. I will go with Chelsea. On the bench, I will go with Real Madrid. I think they've solved a key issue, and that's Dean Olsen, coming in at centre back. Masatsuano also have looked good, going forward. So yeah, I will go with Real Madrid on the bench, and I will drop Bayern Munich. I still think, the whole Nicholas Jackson saga. There's no enough bodies. There are not enough bodies, in that team. Aside from Harry Kane, You look at the attacking force, Serge Gnabry still starting for Bayern in 2025. Luis Diaz has been the only, incoming so far. So I don't think I've been convinced with what Bayern have had to do. They've been linked with numerous players. Nicolas Jackson, like I said, Rodrigo also, Nicholas Williams also, Rafael Leao. But none of these guys have gone on to join the team. So yeah, the only aside from Luis Diaz, they brought in Jonathan Tah, on a free transfer, and is what on the other side of 30. So I think I would have to drop Bayern Munich.
And straight up to Formula One quickly, Bankole. It was supposed to be McLaren 1 and 2, but hey, I don't know if it's an engine problem or if it's a car problem. Lando Norris did not finish the race. It ended as a DNF for him, whereas his teammate went on to open a 34-point lead. Yeah, we know that it's going to be McLaren 1 and 2, but this is a huge blow for Lando Norris.
Yeah, absolutely. But I also think I've been very impressed with Oscar Piastri. I think he has. His timing is the most impressive thing. The way he defends his lead, the way he also attacks, when he's behind. He has shown to be a very impressive driver, especially when your competition is Max Verstappen, and also when you have a Lando Norris who also have shown to be quite adept, when it comes to his driving skills. So yeah, big miss for Lando Norris in this race. But going forward, you still can't look beyond these two guys. Yeah, 35 points is quite huge. But when you have the same car, when you have the same environment, when you have the same preparation, it is quite. And I don't think Oscar Piastri is significant. He's a significantly better driver than Lando Norris. Yeah. So going forward, there's still a chance that Lando Norris might overtake him, but it's very unlikely.
All right, from Formula One, we head straight to our video for the week. Do enjoy it. When we return, it's going to be all about the Tipsters Corner. All right, not looking so good for Manchester City, Bankole. I saw a post on X that said once Pep leaves Manchester City, City will return back to their 102 fans. They've had pre-Guardiola era. But let's go to the Tipsters Corner. We have two games, like I said, for our viewers. Number one, it is Turkey versus Spain, or Turkey versus Spain in the European World Cup qualifiers. And, of course, the Super Eagles of Nigeria versus Rwanda.
Let me start off from home. I think Nigeria should be beating Rwanda, especially when we are playing at home. I don't think Rwanda, yes, it's a country known for tourism, not for sports. So Super Eagles should have just enough, not just enough, should beat them comfortably. Maybe a 2-3-0, victory for Nigeria. But yeah, a straight win for Nigeria, should carry, enough value. Or you win another 4.5 also. Seems like something. Generally, when one of the big teams in Africa is playing a smaller team, win another 4.5 seems like the best value, for something like that. And Turkey against Spain, Turkey, like you said, against Spain. I will go with goals. Probably an over 1.5. Double chance Spain and over 1.5. Both teams to score also. Seems
that's good value.
Yes, seems like something that you can bank on. So yeah, both teams to score. Double chance and over 1.5 for Spain. Spain win either half or a 1-up. For Spain also. Seems like something you can also go with.
All right, remember that Sports Pizza is not responsible for any bet loss. Please bet responsibly. Our job here is just to give you expert opinion and just guide you on some of the best options for these games. And this is where we drop anchor on today's edition. It has been a fantastic time out analyzing, talking, entertaining you viewers with my homeboy Bankole Oladuni.
Edwin, it's always good to be here. And from me to our viewers, have yourself a lovely, lovely weekend.
Remember to follow us on our social media platforms. We also have a dedicated YouTube page for your viewing pleasure. Like, subscribe. From me, Edwin Onyebolise, do have a fantastic weekend. And yes, we wish you the Super Eagles of Nigeria all the very best.